Welcome back to Martins and More. My name's Maury Rutch.
And I'm Spoon Phillips.
And this episode's brought to you by our Patreon members. Join our growing community for early access to every episode, exclusive video versions of the podcast, behind-the-scenes footage, full-length product demos, and more. We appreciate you. Spoon, what's happening today?
Well, not a lot as we head into the dark days of November, and I guess well into them now. But yeah, it's things are going good. How about you with yourself?
I was doing good until you reminded me it's November. I'm not really into winter. I'm really looking forward to getting back to those really nice warm days of, well, frankly, some of the days in November were warm. As we're taping this, we're coming up on a little bit before Thanksgiving. And I don't want to make anybody as depressed as I felt when I realized it. There is snow in the forecast in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Wow, really? Well, I guess it is about that time of year. I mean, it seems kind of odd that we had right before, the week before Halloween, it was 90 in New York City. And then it fell off the cliff, but that's often what happens with this time of year.
Speaking of New York City, I'm going to go east of Coaldale, not quite as east as you. I'm not going to arrive in Brooklyn. Don't be excited. Don't be scared. But I am going to travel about an hour east of Coaldale, Pennsylvania, almost as east as Nazareth, Pennsylvania, to see Martin Guitar. But I'm going to make a left turn before I get that far and arrive in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. Spoon, can you take 3 guesses where I'm going and who I'm visiting?
Well, I would guess that you're probably going to visit Rich Eckert, Dave Strunk, and any of the regulars who might wander into Brothers Music.
Yes, you are one smart cookie. I cannot wait. This is going to be a great time. We've talked in the past about doing an episode there, and I'm frankly a little sick of watching their Instagram fill up with all these cool guitars and me not get a chance to see them in person. So for today's field trip, with your blessing, I'm going to go take a trip to Brothers Music, see what they have on the bench, find out if maybe they could teach me how to do a neck reset. I don't know how much time we're going to have, and just talk to our pals and see what they're up to lately. Would you be able to come with me?
Sadly, no. Obligations prevent me from going where I want to go and doing what I want to do. So,
well, very sad to hear that, but why don't you let me go in your stead? I'll do my best to do what you would do there. Some people say don't do anything I wouldn't do. I will try to do everything Spoon would do. And without further ado, let's take a look at my visit to Brothers Music in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. Wish me luck, Spoon.
Best of luck.
It's good to see you, Maury, for sure, and great to have you in the shop. Check out some guitars we've got in the shop and some other things we've got going on, and happy to see you here. We've certainly known you for many years, and Todd as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And yeah, happy to have you guys here.
Well, thanks. Why don't you give us a little bit of an idea? What's on the bench these days at Brothers Music?
Sure.
A lot of vintage stuff. You know, through the years, we've gotten a lot more vintage guitars than more modern. But it's kind of what we do a lot of work on that stuff. So like old Martins, old Gibsons. Currently, I've got a really cool guitar on the bench. This is a 1933 Gibson LC Century guitar. Came in and needs some neck set. It had some crack repairs and just overall go over the whole thing. But it's a really neat piece. It's got the pearloid fingerboard. You know, a lot of folks. I know you guys are all in the recognizing your Martins, but I'm sure most of you know what some of these old Gibsons are all about as well.
You're allowed to show me non-Martins because it is Martins and more. And
it is Martins and more. That's right.
One of those weeks,
and we've got some Martins as well, so no worries.
So it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
We do get asked a lot as far as what's the rubber band all about. So a lot of the older guitars, the tuners had just bushings that were just kind of pressed in, and they weren't screwed into like the modern tuners are. So these bushings tend to want to pop out.
These right here happen to be the grommet style.
Yeah.
These are called grommet style bushings.
Okay.
So they certainly look like grommets.
Yep. So while the guitar is here in the shop being worked on and it's handled, we like to put a rubber band over top of that so that those will not fall out while they're here in the shop. So that's kind of what that's all about. But what's really cool about this guitar being here is that we recently also took in a 1994 reissue version of this guitar made by Gibson, and Rich is holding that right now.
Yeah, so this is a 1994. This would be the only year that they reissued that particular guitar. Keeping in mind, I mean, there's some pretty stark differences, like with the inlay. However, the centuries with the Gibsons were made differently. They were not made with always in the same particular aesthetic styling. Something interesting about both of these is that this would be 1933 mother of toilet seat pearl right here, and this is 1994 mother of toilet seat pearl. So,
Oh my God.
of course, it's a plastic composite. It is not real pearl. It has a mother of pearl look to it, but it's a plastic. And
Wow.
yeah. So this is the 1994.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Pretty rare that you would have both of these in the same time.
Indeed,
right?
yeah.
For sure, it was pretty cool
nice-
to see them come in, and
Wow. Big difference in tone, would you say?
Yeah.
for sure.
Gibson has a flavor. There's no doubt. Just like Martin has an overall flavor style, Gibson has its own certain flavor and style. But when you get into 1933 wood, that is the capillaries are collapsed and the wood is that old, it's going to sing. That's why there's a golden era for Martin guitar. There's a golden era because the woods in general are very different than any type of modern woods. That's for sure. Yep. Yeah, so that's a neat privilege to have both of these at the same time.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
So Maury, check it out. This is a 1919 size 1. 18, right, brother?
Mm-hmm. 18 style, yeah.
Actually, it's flats on. It's a little bit unusual to see that it's flats on. Can you get in them at a grain a little bit, or not necessarily?
I actually can. Can you help our listeners and our viewers understand flat sawn?
Yeah, flat sawn versus a straight grain quarter sawn. When you're looking at this particular pattern right here, it's a dead giveaway for a flat sawn piece of wood. Quarter sawn would have straight lines that are coming right down, nice and tight grain lines. And frankly, for a 1919 Martin, it's a little bit unusual to see this flat sawn grain. And as far as if you were to take this piece of wood and look at it this way, and of course it would be just even less than 1/8 of an inch thick, quarter sawn grain lines would be this way. The grain lines would be up and down like my fingers, and flat sawn would be, grain lines would be this way.
Okay.
So that's the main difference between flat sawn and quarter sawn with the grain lines. Yeah, so a quarter sawn, I'm sure we could find, we'll take a look and find some nice quarter sawn. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that this was a 1919 size 1, right? Size 1, 18. Yep, so just a beautiful, piece of Martin guitar history right here. So certainly like a drum head. But let me see if I could find some flat sawn mahogany. And yeah, this would be a better idea of the flat sawn. Not that they are distinct grain, or I'm sorry, quarter sawn. Yep, Dave's got it right. This is a better idea of quarter sawn. Not that these are distinct grain lines, but you can certainly tell by looking at this one that the grain lines are nice and straight, and you don't see that flat sawn pattern showing up. Martin used a lot of Brazilian rosewood later in the 80s and 90s, and at that time it was a little bit more flat sawn. But when you see the coveted Brazilian rosewood of the, let's just say the 20s, 30s, 40s, when you see that coveted Brazilian rosewood, a lot of it was quarter sawn and very straight grain. And frankly, maybe you're going to get different opinions on this, but that is the wood, the quarter sawn old wood that is Brazilian or mahogany. That is the wood that reverberates as much as possible, and it's really desired. Yeah,
Interesting.
that quarter sawn versus the flat sawn, in my opinion, not as desirable to have a flat sawn back or sides. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And of course, when you look at the top on a Martin, you do see quarter. You'll never see the pattern of a flat sawn on a Martin guitar top. This is very quartered. and you see all of these grain lines. Again, if you would flip the grain this way, and the top is only going to say, let's be less than 1/8 of an inch, and they're generally about 105 to 115 thousandths of an inch thick on these old guys. Somewhere in that area, 102 thousandths, 107, 108, 111, 111 thousandths. But if you look at the top from this direction, the lines of the grain are straight up and down this way. That's certainly quarter sawn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful quarter sawn top
Oh, wow.
right there. Adirondack.
Nice.
This is definitely Adirondack red spruce right here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is a great guitar right here. Nice, if you could hone in on that nice headstock right there. Yep.
Got the rubber bands again. Yep.
We got the bands to protect the bushings. Yep, these are not the grommet style. These are more of the hex style. But yeah, these are original tuners. Yep, it's great to you get a vintage Martin like this. It's a wonderful thing to see those. Different styles. You're going to get different styles of tuners throughout the years, but it's wonderful to see original tuners on a Martin like this. Yep.
Nice. All right, there's your Martins for the Martins and more. Now I feel like we're being fair. We got a Gibson, we got a
That's right.
We got the. Yeah, we got get them all in there, So
What do we have here, Dave? Strunky, what do we got right here?
that's a size 5. Again, 18 style, but a size 5. It's a 518.
518. Martin, do you know the year off the top of your
That
head?
was from the 60s, I believe. That one was. Yep.
Serial number, I think it's 98, but yeah, great condition, size 5 guitar.
Wow.
Yep. Again, you could hear some of that nice cell collapse and capillary collapse and the dryness of the wood, which really helps it just really helps an old Martin sing.
We just had Craig Thatcher on a previous episode, and he was talking about being at Groons, where they brought a 545 there, and George had a
really
518 like this.
Nice.
That was hours ago, so I forget the details now, but I think it might have been very similar to this. It was a 518.
Yeah, that actually, I think,
Nice straight grain for sure. Quarter sawn. Yeah.
it's actually 40s,
40s?
40s,
Yeah,
1940s.
40s, yeah.
Very good. Yep.
mid 40s.
Original tuners for sure. Yep. Original tuners and really nice, delicate, small decal. Really nice.
Oh, wow.
Delicate logo. Yeah. Ivory, definitely the original ivory nut. I don't know if you could pick that up or not, but even the shape on that nut would excite me and Dave as far as us geeks, because I look at this ivory nut and the particular shape of that nut, and that harkens you back to the 1940s. So for
really?
us geeks, even the exacting detail of the shape of the nut is a pretty big deal. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So what's,
Pickguard, great pickguard material.
what are you guys going to do to that to get it road ready again?
Well, that's almost finished. We did a neck reset to it.
You can certainly tell that it did get a neck reset by the
Still got the fret out and the whole.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, and so we did a neck set to it. A couple other little things. I think it was a pickguard crack, the notorious pickguard crack, and then it's gonna need new frets because those frets have been dressed down several times and they're like not a whole lot to them.
I can feel that they're very low for sure. Yep.
So once it's refretted, we'll be ready to put the new saddle in for the newer height with the neck reset done, and then string it up. So
Nice.
these guitars on this part of the bench over here, this half of the shelf over here, these are closer to being finished. Whether they've got their sets, you can see a few of them in the middle doing the sets. We'll be doing the next sets on those soon and wrapping these up. And and the guitars on the other end of the bench, they're ready. They're about ready to get started.
So if you're watching this program and you thought your guitar will be done already, it's because I'm here bothering them. Otherwise, these would be on their way out, right?
We love having you here for sure. Yeah. I wish Spoon was here.
I do too. We'll have to make another field trip with the New Yorker this time. I know
sure, that would be awesome.
I know it pains him to see all the little field trips I do on the side. You're too close to Nazareth and Wind Gap. It's not fair.
Here's a great L00 Gibson. Let's get back to the more part of Martins and more.
That's a 37.
1937, beautiful, beautiful L00, Gibson L00, 1937. They're great boxes. Yeah, these bodies are great boxes. Yep.
I love that pickguard.
Yeah, yep. Cool pickguard. Yep.
So our process usually is to, when the guitars first come in, we will take the necks out if they're getting a neck reset, and then we'll work on the neck by itself and the body by itself. The body often has, the issues with, cracks, bindings, loose pick guards, bridges. You can see the bridges off of that one. Brace work, and Gibsons are notorious for their braces that are loose. So we'll glue all those things up, which we've already done, and then then we'll do the neck set to it. Put the bridge back on, get the saddle, and work the frets if they need, and that's kind of our process. We go through that with most every guitar that comes through here.
Nice.
So it's better to work on the body with all the cracks and brace work or whatever without the neck yet in the way.
Okay.
Turning it around, wanting to whack it against the bench or something. Yeah. So it's easier to get it done with the neck out of the way. So
interesting.
Yep.
This happens to be a 1933 L00. This is mine that I just leave in the shop because of enjoying the playing it and playing it here and there. So this is the same. This is the same guitar, 1933, 1937. This has an elevated fingerboard, a little bit unusual because it's the earliest of the L00s. If you take a look at the fingerboard tongue, it's elevated, allowing the top to reverberate all that much more. So it does have a different sound than an L00 that is a 14 fret, that is a glued fingerboard tongue. Wow. And this also has the ribbon lining inside that is not curved, but the ribbon lining inside is actually solid ribbon lining. It's the earliest of the L00s, yep.
Wow.
But the reason I love it so much is, like I said, they just bark. Just great little blues boxes, and yeah, great guitar. Maple neck. It's got plenty of honest wear on it. Huh. But again, whether you're tapping a 30s Gibson or you're tapping a 30s Martin, you get that tight drum head sound that reverberates.
Wow.
You do that to a newer Martin or a newer Gibson, you don't get that yet. Maybe in 80 years.
Okay, it's got to grow into that then, yeah.
It should. By all means, it certainly should. Yep. Great guitar. Yep.
Beautiful.
And I own Martins, by the way, too. I own plenty of Martins.
I should hope so.
Which, by the way, I don't know if your listeners know, I was at the factory for 15 years. I was at the Martin factory for 15 years, and Dave was at the Martin factory for 21 years. Yeah. That's right. So.
Surprised they didn't let you go home.
They did let us go home. As a matter of fact, we started Brothers Music Club. But yeah, I was there for 15 years. I started in press fretting, and I became a workflow coordinator.
Okay.
I did that for a few years, and then when I had an opportunity to go to the sawmill, I went to the sawmill. Pretty much my favorite job at Martin. I just loved being in the sawmill, working with the raw woods, and we were essentially cutting the woods to get to the machine room so that they could machine them into the actual parts that they needed to be, whether they were sides. We were resawing mahogany. We were cutting neck blanks out of very large chunks of mahogany, which I'm sure they're still doing. 12 quarter, which is 3-inch mahogany. So we would cut the neck blanks and get those neck blanks to the machine room. They would put them on the big Heian machines, the very large CNC machines.
Huh.
So I love the sawmill. Even maple bridge plates. We had this big pallet of rock maple that seemed to be like from a cajillion years ago because it was just dry and hard as could be.
Oh yeah.
And we would cut the rough shape of the maple bridge plates and then get them into the machine room for them to thickness sand them. But all of that was very interesting to me. And then I ended up in final inspection for many years, and that's where I was at until 2011. And 2011 is when Dave and I started Brothers Music Shop. So yeah, and then Dave could certainly tell you a little bit about. As a matter of fact, I was a workflow coordinator in final inspection for many years and enjoyed that very much until Dave and I just kind of met at a diner and decided to make a business model and plan, and we went ahead with it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been fun ever since. It's been great. So
Is all that true? Can I ask you to verify
that's
some
all
of that?
true. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And I,
Tell
for
them
me,
about your
I started at the Martin factory in 1990, and just needed a job after high school. And my dad had already been working there. He got me in, and I started working there in the polishing department. So with a bonnet buffer, we didn't have the big nice wheels they have these days. It was a bonnet, and just
Or the robotic, which
that's
is similar,
right.
yeah.
We didn't even have a nice stand to hold the guitar on. It was
is that true?
It was a big vice clamp on the end of the bench with huge pads about that thick, and we would just put the body in there and against the rear block here and hold that tight enough, and then there we are with a big huge buffer working on it.
Wow.
And wasn't it the case that there was not even sanding? There was some orange peel, and you guys went to
yeah,
town with
yeah,
heavy duty compound.
Yeah, he
Really?
doesn't do it like that. So Martin, we didn't sand after spraying the finish on. Back then they sprayed the finish on, and it was nasty orange peel, and right to the buffer. We buffed it all smooth from there out.
Heavy duty compound.
Yeah, heavy doing it, lots of it, and it made a mess, So
Now, why is that? Is that a short answer or a long answer? Like, why would they choose to do it that way?
I think it was just production methods at the time. I don't think there's anything
that's just
complicated other than they found refined and better ways of doing it for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course now they have the robotic polisher, which works well. It's a great system. Yeah. But that would be the larger wheel. Like when you go to Stu Mac and they sell the larger buffers, the bonnet style.
Yep.
That's similar to the robotic Martin machine, but the robotic polisher is it's on an axis where it moves in many different ways.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
But that wasn't the case with Dave, which would have been what, 91?
That would have been 90, yep.
Yeah,
90 to
1990
about
when he started,
90,
yeah.
maybe 92, 93-ish. I was invited into the repair department, and that was pretty cool, to be, even though I was considered the young guy then, for sure, I was surrounded by guys that had been there for, 20, 30 plus years, at the factory.
Wow.
So, and then those guys, guys like Milt Hess, Dave Musselwhite.
Milt Hess was just in this morning. He stopped in the
Milt
shop.
was just in the
Oh,
shop
wow.
this morning. Yep, we missed him, but those guys, I worked around them and learned about the art of really doing repairs, and restorations and neck fits and gluing bridges, and then getting into replacing tops and all those kind of things that those guys had done. So I was fortunate enough to get into that, and then that's where I really, for me, I really enjoyed that. And I'm like, okay, I can see myself doing this for, I really fell in love with it.
Until I Start Brothers. You said back in 91. I could see myself doing this until I Start Brothers Music Shop.
Till then, so, but yeah, it was great, so, it was great working with those guys, and I spent 21 years at the factory, so.
Wow.
Now, what was the size of the repair department in 91 or so? 90,
It
91?
was about the same size as when I left. We left in 2011. About 10 guys, 10 to 12 folk,
Okay,
guys, and girls. There were a couple girls. There were some girls in there too. So, yeah, it was pretty neat. But of all those that were in the department, early on, when I was first hired, when I went in the department early on, it was probably a good 50% of the guys, if not more, were really into what they were doing.
Okay.
Because back then they were to, promote people even within departments as far as your experience and what you knew as far as on the job.
Sure.
It's much different than how places manage today. But so then it was a good part of us were really into doing what we were doing.
Passion
Had the passion for it,
and the repair process.
But then until I left in 11, it was maybe like 2 of us, and everybody else was kind of like a job for them.
Yeah.
And so it changed through the years, but it was great. It was great to be there. So that's where I learned pretty much all of it. I worked a little bit with woodworking when I was younger, a little bit, but not much, not like that. So it was pretty neat. And neck fitting was one of those jobs early on that I learned, and I liked it, and I loved it, and to this day, I still enjoy it like I did back then. I've probably done a couple thousand neck sets through my years, and
wow,
I still love it.
Yeah, definitely 1,000. We did figure it out at one point. It's a lot.
Yeah, because when you're at the factory and you're learning a job, you're on that job all the time, and so till you get it. Well, back then, the training was a long training process to get into neck fitting and learning it, and really catching hold of the angles and what you really are doing with each cut and each chisel. So I enjoyed it.
So would you say you're the main neck setter here at Brothers between the two of you?
Oh, for
No,
sure.
he's not the main neck setter. He's the only neck setter.
Well, for those watching that might not know all the details, like what do each one of you guys do here? Is that something that's just do you share?
We
everything?
definitely have roles. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to lacquer finish, I've been doing that. I've been spraying since a teenager for various things. You know, my grandfather got me into woodworking, so I was spraying finishes as a teenager. I also got into airbrushing and doing murals on motorcycle tanks and vehicles. So I've been spraying in one way or another, and I love. It's an art. It's definitely an art when you get into the nitrocellulose lacquer finish.
Sure.
So I love doing that. Dave does not touch that. Strunky doesn't touch the finish. I handle. If you take a look at, you could quickly pan over to that area, and I handle. It's simply a desk area. However, that would be something that I do when it comes to taxes and bills and emails and a lot of the behind the scenes keeping a business running. So that desk is where I spend more time, although Dave certainly has his fair share of emails as well. So when it comes to the behind the scenes administrating of running a business, that would be entirely on me. Dave is happy to not touch any of that. So finish, administrative. I do hit the bench when it comes to fret dressings, new nuts, setup, anything along that. If Dave gets 3 or 4 guitars done and he needs help with the stringing process, I'll certainly grab some of that. But Dave loves to get his hands in on the bracing, the internals, the ripping. I shouldn't say ripping the neck off the body, but taking the neck off the body. And doing the neck resets. So every day, Dave is super diligent at of making the nuts and bolts of the guitar repair get done.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm doing some of the finish. I'm doing some of the final inspection, setup work, fret dressings, the administrative. Is there anything else I'm throwing in there? I'm doing the ordering of anything we need to order.
Yep, you're a purchaser. You're sometimes the maintenance person.
I'm doing the maintenance on the whole property because Brothers Music
and
Shop did buy the property, so we have the property to maintain.
It's been it's been really awesome that even from the get-go when we first got together. I had been doing my own thing for a while and with working at the factory, but there's things I hated to do, and I dabbled a little bit with finish work, but I didn't really care for it. And so, but anyway, Rich and I got together, and really without even sitting down and saying, okay, here's what I'm going to do, here's what you're going to do, we automatically both said, well, this is what we do well, and it works.
We just kind of lived it out. We just did it. And that's
those things that I didn't really care to do, and I can't stand the whole technical computer world, and he's all about that.
Social media I handle, Instagram,
so
Facebook.
All those pictures you all see out there, those are all Rich.
Play to your strengths.
I can't take the credit to any of those, other than maybe being in one or once in a while.
So just for fun, do you guys ever talk about this week you're going to do the taxes and he's going to do the next sets just to see what happens?
We do, but it just so happens that every week Dave says you're going to do the taxes. That's every week.
Yep. But right from the beginning, there was not much of a plan to say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
No, we do have a business agreement that we started with, and the bank was interested in that, so we came up with a business agreement. But yeah, there wasn't roles that were introduced.
Right.
In
no,
that,
we just naturally worked well as far as together. So
that's great.
Who's the fish keeper between me and you?
We both share, but you do most of the feeding. That's a.
But we do take care of both of them. Yeah, and it's a lovely tank. I mean, it's a great tank. Yeah, and a whole bunch of tetras, and then it's we love it. Dave has cichlids, right? You've got the cichlids at home.
I got African cichlids at home that
African
I keep.
cichlids, and how many in a tank? You got a large tank. How many gallons?
Right now it's a 75 gallon.
75 gallons.
Really?
How many?
Smaller one I used to have, but yeah, there's 10 in there right now. So.
That's cool.
But yeah, we love our buddies there. We got in a tank. Yep, they're good entertainment, and they definitely provide some peace and solace. Believe it or not, they're nice. Yep.
And they don't talk back, right?
No, they don't give us any more time.
No. They don't eat us out of home and house. It's great.
So what else is going on this bench, Rich?
Well, you take a look at what we would consider to be the right-hand side of our 2 benches here. These are customers that we've called in to say, hey, it's time for your guitar to come on in the shop, and let's make an appointment, get your guitar in here. These, what do we got? 8 guitars, 3, 6, 7, 8. These 8 guitars are ready for the necks to be taken off the bodies.
If they need neck
Yeah,
sets,
so if they need neck resets, but these are being introduced, and maybe some of these here, but they're being introduced as the newest batch of guitars to start working on. So we usually get 8, 10, 12 guitars done, and then we're going to call customers to get 8, 10, 12 guitars into the shop, and we work in those batches. It's been working very well for us. I'm wondering if there's anything we should point out here. This looks like a 60s as far as the pick guard. So I'm looking at this pick guard. And the pickguard color happens to give away the 1960s.
Headstock shape.
However, this might be an employee model.
Oh, that one is.
This is an employee model. The logo is not there. And if you look inside, it says 0028 26 1964. I don't know if you can see inside there.
That would be the employee's name.
Oh, is that right?
Well, the employee's name is not in this one, but they did punch the date inside there.
Oh, there's no initials in it?
No initials, which they usually do.
Okay.
The employee certainly has the option to, put what they want inside there, or I should say, they did have the option, yeah.
Is it on the back strip? I thought I saw it somewhere.
Oh, it is. You're right.
There it is. Yep, there it is. There's the guy's name. He had to put it.
Yeah,
somewhere.
so there is a name. There is a name inside there. That would have been the employee inside the Martin Guitar Factory who would have built this guitar. That doesn't mean that he built this guitar per se, but it means that it would have gone through the process, and even if he had friends to work on it in the factory, that was afforded the opportunity where he would have told one of his friends who might have been sanding the body, hey, do it this way, or can you help me out here? And,
yeah. Maybe he was a neck fitter. Maybe he did the neck fit part.
He might have done the neck fit if he was the neck fitter.
He was the finisher guy.
And when did this program stop, brother? It was,
sadly, 2 years before I was hired.
88,
88.
Right? Yeah, right around 1988, they stopped. If you were an employee, you could build one Martin while you had your tenure at Martin Guitar, yeah? This is nice straight grain. You can see the grain. This is pretty spectacular Brazilian rosewood right here. So this employee had enough foresight, or maybe it was just attractive to him, but he realized this is beautiful. Yeah, this is beautifully figured Brazilian rosewood. For whatever reason, he picked that wood out and he wanted that on his employee build Martin, yeah.
It was probably fairly accessible to the employees. Martin really would rather have straight grain on their guitars back then.
Yeah. This is a lot of straight grain, but this is intense figuring with the straight grain.
Yeah.
You can see these little grain lines, which give away the quarter sawn aspect of the guitar. Yeah.
And what year are we saying this was built?
64. Yeah, but there is a date, 2664.
So are we allowed to say that is Mike Dickinson's guitar?
Mike Dickinson's guitar.
So that's a cool piece, yeah. Now, when an employee built a guitar at Martin Guitar, they were not allowed to brand it in any way with the Martin name on it. So keep that in mind. Somebody might see this and not understand what it is, even though everything about it screams that it's a Martin. But it's not going to have the sticker, and it's not going to be stamped on the front, the leg block there, and it's not going to be stamped on the back brace. You'll see no Martin markings on it, even though this 0028 was built no different than any other 0028 in 1964. Yep.
Interesting. If they wanted to, could they have built it differently?
Yes, they could have. They could have put whatever special inlays they wanted. Yeah, they could have added whatever they wanted. And we've already seen some receipts from an employee model where they chose different inlays, and Martin charged that employee like $1.70 for pearl, or something like that.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's so cool.
So that's a neat feature. I didn't expect to pick that one up when I went to the guitars here, but definitely gives you a little bit of insight into what was happening prior to 1988, where an employee was allowed to build one guitar throughout their time at Martin.
I didn't know they stopped that program.
Yeah, 1988. Yep. We are looking at year-wise again.
I think that's
looks
a
like
70. No, that would be. I don't think that was original.
175. See what you got for 175 here. I have it right here. 175 is showing up as a 59 or 60. Yeah, well, it's maybe a 60. Yep. Beautiful top, beautiful straight grain. What else stands out about this guy? A 1960 with straight taper, right? Straight taper bracing, for sure. 1960. 5/16 of an inch, because this is certainly a D28. Yep.
Those tuners look more like a D35. Is that typical for that?
This guy right here?
Yeah.
The Rotomatics?
It came out right in around the mid to late 60s, those did, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They're
But
putting them
is
on the
this a
dreads.
60 then? Is this in fact
I think
the
it's a 60, yep.
175, yeah, 175 013. Yeah, 175 013 is 1960, and the Rotomatics were all on the 60s. Okay, yep. Yeah,
Actually,
beautiful
60,
guitar.
Let me
That
see,
is.
so they could have, maybe they put them on after the fact.
You thinking that they're maybe added? They don't look added.
They're patent pending, which I thought they were
Early, that would be early,
to
yeah.
mid 60s, but yep.
Huh.
They could have been one of the earlier ones to use those, yep. Sweet.
That's nice.
But it'll sound great, yeah, because I talked a little bit earlier about the cell collapse, if you will, in the wood. That's a great top, you can just tell. That's a great Brazilian back, man.
in
Yep.
good shape too.
And you could hear it on the sides. That's different than if you bought a modern D20, like a brand new D28, and you did a little bit of tap test. It's very different.
Oh
yep.
yeah. Is
Yep.
that saddle glued into the long saddle?
It is
It
the long
is,
saddle.
yep.
That would have been what, 60?
Till 65,
Till
yep.
65, and then they switched them over. That's right. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Beautiful.
And a lot of 1964 and earlier are coveted because that was when they went from. That's when they got the new factory, right? Wasn't it 64? A lot of people who are looking for vintage guitars, some people would say go pre-1970 for the vintageness of it, but there are people who say go pre-1964 because the new factory was built in 64 and then they moved into the new factory. So there are some people who say, I want the old factory. I want a 62, 63, and you know.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beauty, yep. That's a beautiful guitar, yep. Let me see, before we move on, we've got, that looks like a 17, and what does this one look like?
Those are two 15s.
Oh, 15s,
15s, a 52 and a 54.
1952,
Same guitar.
1954.
2 years apart.
Wow.
2 years apart, sweet guitars. Very different sound. I shouldn't say a very different sound, but some people would, and I probably would too. That it is a different sound or personality than a Sitka spruce top. It
Oh,
is.
sure,
To have the mahogany, it's a different different personality.
Did you say these are 15s or 17s?
Those are 15s.
15,
yeah.
that's right. I thought I was looking at a 17 early on, but yep, they're what size? What size?
Oh,
brother?
single O. Yep.
It's a 015, a 1950, what? Two 015 and a 1950.
And a 50. Yep. A 52.
52.
52 and a 54.
This is a 52. This is a
The
1954.
52 has been reworked as far as the finish. You can see a difference in the tone, the color, and such.
Yeah, right.
And it's not the original tuners. We actually purchased for the customer
We did,
an original
that's right,
set of
yep.
tuners we're going to
We
be
were
putting
able-
on,
we were able to locate
which
the
would be
original
very
tuners.
similar to if you turn
Yep.
them both around.
Oh, okay.
So we'll put that set of tuners onto the 52 as well. Same customer owns both of those pieces.
Oh, cool.
We were able to locate these guys, and I don't mind telling you that Steve Kovacic is pretty good for helping us out with tuners.
Nice.
But yeah, we were able to locate these, which are going to go on, which is going to really add to the originality. But these are going to go on, yeah.
There you go. Nice.
That's going to go on this guitar, yep, and it's going to really do it justice. You know, this type of guitar deserves what we would call a full-on restoration, yep. So, yeah, beautiful. Now you tap this, and it's certainly not as bass sounding. The tap pitch is higher, but you can still hear that old wood. And the reason that it's a higher pitch tap is because it's a smaller surface area. This is just as smaller you're going to get. It's going to become a higher pitch.
Yep.
You get into a dreadnought, you get that lower tap and a little bit more resonance. But you can still hear that drum head sound out of this. Yep.
Let's compare it to the 54.
Here, we'll do it one more time. And this is the 54. Might be similar, but this is an interesting test, you know.
Well, the 52 had more finish on the top. Yeah, pretty
It
close.
is similar.
Yeah.
It's similar, yeah. I mean, it's great. It's great that it's consistently built around that area.
right.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah. So Maury, we've got this 1938 Gibson SJ200. Pretty, I don't mean to say pretty rare, extremely rare. This is a great example, by the way, grain-wise, of quarter sawn. They used East Indian rosewood. This would not be Brazilian rosewood, believe it or not, in 1938. East Indian rosewood, pretty much all original. It had a little bit of work done to it throughout the years, but the cool thing that I wanted to point out with this guitar is it had a radically wrong bridge on it. This bridge we made from a chunk of ebony. So this bridge is completely made here in the shop. Take a look at that bridge, and we wanted to reproduce in 1938 with the brass, the brass inserts, and the actual saddles themselves are threaded bone. I took the time to thread bone.
Wow.
And use those as the inserts for the individual saddles, and the pearl was inlaid. We put some lacquer on it. We did a little bit of aging to the lacquer. We wanted to make it as period correct as possible. We're also going to make a pick guard. This is the material we're going to use for the pick guard. This would be pretty true to what it is, but for a 1938 SJ200, it would have a different pattern than what you see here, slightly different bloom of the flowers and what have you. So it will sort of look like this, but it'll have this material, which is a little bit more true to this year, and it'll have a little bit different expression of the etching inside the pick guard. So I just want to point out that bridge because that's such a cool project that we took on to get this back to its restored properties here.
Very cool.
I'll show you the headstock really quick. Really cool piece, man. Just in and of itself, just beautiful with the tuners that are original. Really like Art Deco, really cool tuners.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point this really cool project out to you.
And the neck fitter is going to say we also did a neck set to it.
Strunky did a neck reset, yep.
But that needed a bit of work, yep.
And we did some other stuff. This one happened to get a
Brought it back to
refinish inside the Martin factory. I think it was the 50s. This is the story with this one. So it's devalued, but in and of itself, even with a refinish at the Gibson factory, a very valuable, very sort of sacred instrument in the vintage guitar collector's world. Yep.
You're not done with that yet over there.
We are just about done, yep. We're almost ready to have it glued in.
I've been here almost an hour. I thought I was going to see something finished.
Well, it takes a little bit more than just 40 minutes to do a neck set, sad to say.
If he didn't want us to tell our story and go on about these guitars we got, he would have had it
one done, yep.
Blame it on me.
But yeah, all the adjustments now have been made to the heel.
Yeah, yep. So
I got the right neck angle to it now, so the strings will be drawn closer to the fretboard. It'll be able to play much nicer.
That's so cool.
I'm really happy with the fit and the cutting. So a sharp chisel is really the most important part of neck fitting, to make sure you don't get big chip outs and things like that. So that all looks nice and clean. It's lined up center-wise.
Give it a pop out of the body to show them like you have to pop it out.
I put the shim that I need inside, so
there you go. just a little pop off with its neck.
Ready to glue it in with hide glue. We do use hide glue on the guitars that were built with hide glue. Yep. So we even as far as we'll put a new saddle in here because the saddle's really worn down. Give that right height with a new saddle. And we'll even do a little toning to the saddle to give it that little bit of an aged look.
Oh, nice.
Rather than a really bright new piece of bone. So yeah, those little touches we'll do, and I think this one does not need new frets, which is good because that's a bit of a bear to do with this pearloid.
Wow.
So, but maybe a fret dressing when it's all said and done, and yeah, it's going to come together nice.
Well, since you guys treated me to lunch, do you think I should stay and do this next set for you? Should I?
You finish it up?
It's already done. Sorry, Maury. They've already finished it up.
Okay.
We'll take you up next time, maybe.
Cool.
Listen, we want to thank you guys, Maury, Spoon. It's been a really, really good time. Lots of fun. Great to have you here, Maury. Great to go down to our local diner and have some grub, and it was great to sit and talk. And yeah, thanks for having us. Wonderful time. You can check us out. brothersmusicshop.com. You can definitely go to our website. That would direct you towards Facebook or Instagram if you want to check out pictures. If you want to interact with us, there's no doubt that Facebook is the best place to, at this time, Facebook is certainly the best place to interact with us. if you've got some questions, whether it's a post we make, a picture we put on, you can certainly interact that way, comment-wise, or feel free to give us a message on Facebook, or rich@brothersmusicshop.com, or dave@brothersmusicshop.com. Yep, we'd love to hear from you. If you got some questions, just give us a shout.
Yep, look us up, give us a call too. I'm more of a phone guy as far as talking rather than texting and all that jazz, but yeah, either way, get a hold of us.
Very cool, guys. Thank you. It's been so much fun.
You got it, Maury. Thanks.
Well, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. It's been too long since I've been out there to see those guys. In fact, I have never even seen the new store, or what's not even a new store now. So it tells you how long it's been since I had a chance to get out there. I used to go visit them before they had any store, when they just had just retired from the Martin Guitar Company, and in fact, one of their very first commissions was taking a back and side from a 60-60 28 and turning it into basically a 1937 D28 in terms of the body, with a modern low-profile neck, just for me, which it remains one of my all-time favorite guitars, of course. But yeah, very gifted wood charmers, both of them, and always great to watch them work their magic on some of these amazing guitars that their clients let them heal and restore.
Amen to that. It was a lot of fun. Thank you again, Dave and Rich, for inviting us. Next time, as I promised, I will bring the New Yorker and we'll make a day of it. But I'm really glad I was able to go. And Spoon, I wouldn't say I had as much fun as I did when I'm with you, but it was definitely in the top 3. So
that's because I provide the cookies.
And with that, from all of us at Martins and More, thanks for listening.
Hear you later.